Good afternoon, seventh grade. So our assignment focuses on protagonists versus antagonists within the play 12 Angry Men. Before I get to that, I just want to do a quick little recap, a quick little refresher of what a protagonist and an antagonist is, just because we haven't been in school for a long time. So a protagonist is there we go. Is almost always the main character in a story. So the protagonist is the character that us as the audience we emphasize with, we feel for, we kind of root for that person, and this a protagonist is often seen as the hero or the heroine of a story. So before I get to the antagonist, I just want to make a comment that protagonists, even though for a large part they are seen as the hero, they're seen as the good guy or the good girl. That's not always the case. The protagonist doesn't always have to be uh, this heroic figure. The protagonist sometimes could really be the villain. The main part that I want you to know is that right here, the protagonist is the main character of the story. It's who the story follows. So an antagonist is the character who opposes the protagonist and often creates the conflict. So the antagonist, just like the protagonist, is usually seen as the hero. The antagonist is usually seen as the villain, which, based on what I've told you before, I just told you at least, the antagonist maybe sometimes doesn't necessarily have to be an evil person. The antagonist is someone who opposes the protagonist. So, protagonist, our main character; antagonist, the character who opposes our main character. So for our assignment for today, we're kind of gonna do like a little investigation. So you're gonna have to do some. You're gonna have to cite some evidence from our text. So we just described what a protagonist and an antagonist is. So I'm just gonna leave this section alone. Hopefully you guys can make do on your own. So in 12 Angry Men, blank is the protagonist of the play. Obviously, I want you to fill in who you believe is the protagonist of our play. And although several of the jurors act as antagonists, blank emerges as the main antagonist of the protagonist. So, who do you think out of all the people that are against our protagonist is the main one, the one that really, really goes for him? So, I have a table here: juror, ally, or antagonist, and evidence. So, I use 9 as an example. So, juror number 9 is juror number 9 an ally or an antagonist? Juror number 9 is an ally. And how do we know? What's the evidence? So in Act 2, I cited his exact dialogue. So right here in ellipses, right here, these 3 dots, it suggests that there's more dialogue that took place in between, but that's just kind of I'm just using his parts, the ones that actually I need for the evidence. So his exact dialogue, there's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote, I did. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2. So this shows that he is an ally because he changed his vote to support our protagonist. So you only have 4 to do. Juror number 3, juror number 6, juror number 5, and juror number 10. So you are going to identify whether you believe they are an ally or an antagonist in this box. And then you are going to go back into the play and you are going to find the dialogue that suggests that they are an ally or an antagonist. Quick, simple, to the point. And if it helps, I would bring up the 12 Angry Men's characters, the doc right here. So you kind of get an idea of what each juror is like. So we have 3, 6, 5, and 10. So those are the ones that we will be focusing on for this assignment. So kind of knowing what they're like ahead of time, it might give you a better idea of whether you know they might be an ally or an antagonist. That's it for today. Hopefully this video helped, and hopefully you guys are having a great